Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We're about as far south in Texas as you can go. We're at the mouth of the Rio Grande River in a town called Brownsville. And we'll take a look at the folks down here and see what they're like and how things are. And you know, we're all along the border. We're going to follow the river upstream, which is the Mexican-American border. And you can get in trouble along that border without even trying. And you're in trouble before you know it. And that's what happened to me. Come along, I'll tell you the story. We are in Brownsville, Texas, as far south as you can go. It is the mouth of the Rio Grande River, where by now it is only a trickle as it flows into the Gulf of Mexico. What struck me most here was the immersion you were into Hispanic culture. The people, the signs, the food, just everything. As we stopped in various stores, often we were the only ones who spoke English. Most store clerks spoke Spanish only. Hispanic seems to be the descriptive word in the eastern part of the country, and Latino seems to be the more common term in the West. Latino or Hispanics are the largest, fastest growing, and youngest minority group in the U.S. Today, they are almost 20% of the total population. In contrast, the black population, which is second in minority group size, is about 13%. We always bought drinking water in those coin-operated machines, something that is pretty common across the southern and southeastern U.S. The Whataburger fast food outlets are the McDonald's and Burger Kings and A&W's of Texas. Another Texas company that we saw a lot of was the gas companies called Valero. There was a lot of Mexican food and brands in the grocery stores. Things like green chilies and these peppers and things like that. And it was time to learn the brand names of Mexican beer. You don't have to learn a whole new language, but it is awfully handy to know a few basic words at times, like these words here, to figure them out. Newspapers, magazines, and television shows were primarily in Spanish. In the U.S., where politics seems to be a continual issue throughout the year, most of the language of communication was also in Spanish. South Texas is the land of snowbirds, and a lot of RVers, like me, make their way down here every year. The locals call people like us winter Texans. Texas is a warm, friendly, safe, and affordable place. You know what got me interested in Texas? I talked to some people who had gone down as snowbirds a lot of winters to Arizona, and they liked Arizona in any way, in every way. But they decided to go a little further one winter over to Texas. And they said that the difference was that in Texas, things were green. It was a little warmer, and the air was more moist. The birds were singing. It made you feel like it was springtime or summertime, more than in Arizona, which was nice country too. But it was a little cooler and drier in Arizona. So that's what they liked about Texas. Green and the birds singing, and I said, I better go over and see that place. People, the old snowbirds, find social activities like cards, tours, and games to play. And, you know, others just seem to lay around and soak up the nice winter sun. Some seem to have one foot in the grave and the other on the banana peel. Whoa! Who's that? That's me. But that's different. I'm not like those people. I spend my time reading a book and walking my dog. Just before I leave here, I want to tell you a little story. We were first in Texas and at a campground. And
I walked around the campground, as I often do, and have a little short chit-chat with a few other campers. And these two people were sitting at a table, a picnic table by their campsite. And I walked by and I said, hello, and they said, hello, I see you're from Canada. And I said, how do you know that? Oh, we can tell right away, they said. I said, I haven't even had a chance to say the word A at the end of every sentence. So how do you know that I'm from Canada? And the guy said, the one fellow said, well, just by looking at your feet, I can tell you, you're from Canada. I said, what is that? I looked down. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, not only are you from Canada, but you haven't been here very long. I said, well, that's true, but how do you know that? Well, he said, but by your feet, your sandals there. I looked down at my sandals. He says, you got your socks on. That's a sure mark of a recently arrived Canadian. They don't know that it's hot and warm down here, and you never wear socks with your sandals. But you always do back home up north in Canada, because it's cooler. And I looked down there, and you know, I checked that out. Several campgrounds later, I always looked around. And you know, that was true. Often Canadians still had their sandals and their socks inside the sandals. Amazing.
The Rio Grande is not a big river. In some places it could be described more as a big creek. But it is an international boundary, and I could not believe how close we actually were to Mexico. The Rio Grande River in Mexico is called the Rio Bravo, which means Rio, river, Bravo, fierce river. The early Spanish wrote of this river, calling it El Rio, the river, El Rio Bravo, fierce, the fierce river del Norte, of the is del Norte, north, the fierce river of the north, El Rio Bravo del Norte. You could plainly see people on the other side. In some places, kids were playing. Look at the red arrow in this picture, and you can see some cattle grazing on the Mexico side. The border fence is not everywhere along the river. In places where the border fence has been built, it has been set back a short distance back on the bank on the U.S. side. On highways on the U.S. side, you frequently came upon Border Patrol checkpoints like this one, and their purpose was to apprehend illegal border traffic. They took one look at us and quickly sized us up as old tourists and moved us through. We hung out on the less traveled roads as much as possible. We came across this abandoned motorhome left as a result of a drug or illegal immigrant confrontation with the Border Patrol. Before I finally got smarter, I ran into a little trouble with the Border Patrol, and that's why you see just a photograph of the side of this Border Patrol vehicle. I was more careful where and when I took some of the photographs along the border.
So I see this Border Patrol vehicle in the distance, and I start to take some pictures of it. It's a nice background, and these Border Patrol guys are standing out beside their vehicle looking at me, taking pictures of them. Then they get in their vehicle, and they're driving toward me. I'm still taking pictures. It's an opportunity. So they drive up to me, and they get out of their vehicle and walk up to me, and they say, excuse me, sir, you're not allowed to take photographs of us. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. And, you know, I thought right then and there, my camera with all my 1,000 photographs in it, it was gone. I was going to lose it all. And then the one border guy said, well, you'll have to delete those photographs that you took of us. And I said, you know, this is a fairly new camera to me, and I'm not much of a camera guy. I really don't know how to delete photos out of here. I've never done that. So another border guard guy, he says, well, you know, my daughter has a camera like that, one of those newer kind. He said, give me your camera. I think I can delete those photos. And that's what he did. And he handed me back my camera, and I apologized and told him I was a smarter fella now. And away they went. They jumped in their car. I turned to my wife and I said, hey, you know what I should do? I should take a photograph of them driving away. What do you think? And I could tell by the tone in her voice that I was not going to do that.
In remote areas where a wall has not been built, border surveillance still occurs. Border Patrol continually drive roads parallel to the border. For example, the narrow dirt road on the left in this picture with the red arrow is dragged and smoothed over every day. If people have crossed the road during the night, their tracks will show, and the Border Patrol knows there are illegal immigrants in the area. We took a canoe ride on the Rio Grande River. Now, I've got a question for you. The question is, what is wrong in this photograph? Take a good look. We'll come back to it a little bit later, and I'll tell you. But in the meantime, you think about it. What is wrong with this photograph? The vegetation cover was pretty thick in some places along the river, and this made it a good hiding place for people illegally crossing the river or the border. From our canoe, we could make out pathways down to the river used by people coming down to the river and coming across the river. Both ways, some of the illegal stuff that goes on here. We saw the remains of temporary campsites, makeshift rafts, paper and other garbage, and articles of clothing like shoes and socks and trousers and shirts were left along some places along the banks. Oh, look here, there's a little alligator. It looks like one. Little closer look. No, just another stick floating in the water. The alligators wouldn't be too big here. I'm not even sure there are any, but again, I wouldn't like to be tipping over the canoe because you never know. We rented these canoes and sailed down the Rio Grande. It was enjoyable and a unique experience. Here is that photograph again. Again, what is wrong with it? I'll give you a clue. There is something illegal in this photograph. What is it?
After that episode with my camera and those border guards, I was naturally about as nervous as a cat on a hot tin roof about paddling that canoe down the river.
Let's go back to the paddling on the river. We are paddling downstream. My wife is in the front, so she must be doing the driving. I'm only paddling at the back. But look where she has us in the river. We are over on the Mexican side. The borderline runs down the middle of the river. So we are now in Mexico. We are illegal. We are aliens. Maybe we're even illegal aliens.
We were in a rather dicey situation, so I yelled at my wife, get the canoe over at least into the middle of the river and on the other side, on the American side. What's that you say? My cameraman says that the person who's paddling at the back of the canoe is responsible for the direction the canoe goes. He's the driver, or that person is the driver. Are you sure about that? Well, then my wife should have been at the back of the canoe, paddling it and then straightening it out. It wasn't my fault. You know, it seems to me that I'm getting into some trouble in this travelogue, so we better wrap her up right here. And you hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up, and we'll bring you some more because we're still heading upstream on the Rio Grande. This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. Adios, amigos.